everybody. Well, today we do have a special guest. Her name is Bonnie Ramone, and she's a musician and in Pittsburgh, so in the Pittsburgh area. So we're going to talk a little bit about Bonnie and see what her background is and how her performing is. So let's get started with questions. So Bonnie, tell me how's your background? What is it, and how you became a musician?
Hi there. Hi, everybody. So I've probably been a musician and artist for my whole life. I tattoo in the city in Pittsburgh at the Ravenwood Collective, and I work with my band Bonnie and the Mere Mortals nonstop. And I've been kind of doing something like that my whole life. So grew up sort of in the backwoods. For those of you who are Pittsburgh natives, about 30 minutes further into nowhere from Star Lake, if any of you remember where that is. So, but I grew up on a farm and sort of wanted to leave as soon as I could.
Oh,
And, then I did. I made it to the city and I realized I sort of missed some of the things that I left behind and started going back into that like old country music, that Appalachian folk music, the stuff that, is the pinnacle of American songwriting, and also sort of saw what that had in common with, all of the like goth and new wave and synthwave bands that I got into as a teenager and in college, and realized that they had a lot in common. So the project that I'm in now is sort of a culmination of how I grew up and who I grew into, and sort of merging those two things
mm,
together.
okay. So your genre is like folk, Appalachian type, or is
Uh,
it something different?
we're a Southern Gothic band. Our debut album, which just came out in January, is called Southern Gothic. And we take that genre literally. So we have a lot of Appalachian folk music and Americana sort of mixed with, like 80s new wave and synth wave and stuff. So my synth player likes to say it's The Cure meets Dolly Parton, and I think that's fairly accurate.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, interesting. So you are in a band. Now, how many people are in your band?
It's sort of variable for what the situation requires. We play in a lot of different ways. I mean, it's always me. Um, and my like right hand man, sort of band leader, is my lead guitarist, Matt Elias. And I've also been working with a new bassist and
Hmm.
um, a synth player, and we don't call our drummer a drummer. We have a very interesting drum setup because we want to get that visceral analog air moving of real drums, but we also use a lot of drum sequencing and drum machines and electronic things as well. So we call him our booper. But I also have sort of like a barn of people that, if we want to make something bigger or smaller, do something a little bit different, we sort of bring people in and out. So it's almost like its own little community.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So, tell me how what your creative process is like as far as like writing. Do you write music? How did the lyrics come about, and how does the music come about? Or, I mean, I would imagine you are original, right? You
Yeah.
have, yeah. So,
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, every artist has their own sort of different process. I would say mine is spontaneous more than it is, sitting down every day at a certain time, whatever, although I do try to do that. But a lot of times for me, the lyrics these days sort of come with melodies.
mhm.
And I end up just singing them into my phone. And sometimes I have other ideas, or I've had times when like a whole song has come to me at once, or at least sort of the idea of it. I explain it. Some people work like micro to macro, where say they have like a little idea for a hook or a guitar riff or something, and they sort of build the song around that. Usually when I write, it's sort of the opposite of that, where I see the whole structure of the song, I see what I want it to be, but like my prescription's off, it's all kind of blurry. So I spend time just fleshing it out, almost like carving a statue or something like that, just
Okay.
taking away pieces that aren't the song and sort of refining it, bringing it into focus. So
Mhm.
a lot of my stuff sort of works that way, where I just get out like a, like a crappy scratch demo and just sort of, get a little closer until it's where I need it to be.
Mhm. How long does it usually take you to do this? Is it like a
The best
I
ones
guess it's a
usually
process.
come, the best ones usually come all at once, really
Mm,
quickly. And I found that to be true with a lot of people who write in the way that I do. That you get these like bursts of creativity where everything comes out really fast and you find yourself having a song in 20 minutes. And other ones have gone through like months and months of making new arrangements, and no, this isn't quite working out. What if we change the tempo? What if we change this or that, change the whole
mhm,
feel? We actually have a new song that isn't a new song. It didn't make it onto the album, and but I thought it had potential. And maybe a month ago, we completely kind of threw out the arrangement, tried something completely new, and from one little kind of idea seed, it blossomed into
mm,
this whole new song that now just works and is more representative of where we are moving towards, the
mhm.
next thing after our debut album. So
I see.
it's definitely not just, there's no one way of doing things, for sure. um, for me, and I'm sure for most people, when it comes out quick, that's great. But the
Yes.
work of being a songwriter is being able to figure it out when it doesn't come so quickly.
Mhm, mhm. Now, I see well, I know I'm going off, but, I see all these instruments behind you. Now do you play each one of these, or, um, are you just basically a vocalist?
Oh no,
Um,
I make all the demos myself. So my idea with this project, I came up kind of with the whole idea fleshed out of what I wanted to do. And I don't necessarily say I play a lot of instruments. I play at a lot of instruments. I'm good enough for church at most things, if you know what I mean.
oh, okay.
So, but my main instrument is guitar. And when I started this project, I bought myself some recording equipment and went to YouTube University, trying to learn how to do everything, and started making all these demos on my own where I play absolutely everything on the demo. Made about 5 or 6 of those, and then I was, sought out to find musicians who are better than me to sort of
Mhm,
play the parts that I wrote and embellish upon them.
mhm,
And that's sort of how I've kept things going. So I make the whole demo myself. I play everything on it, and then I sort of present that to the bands and have them
okay,
learn the parts. And if they have suggestions here or there, oh, this would be better this way, and then we work from that.
mhm, cool.
So, but yeah, I played everything on our album, from saxophone to cello to theremin. I mean, we did everything on that album. So,
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, you'll have to give me a link. I don't know if it's up on anything yet or any of your
oh,
songs.
absolutely. It's been out since it came out on January 7th. It's on all
Okay.
streaming devices. We have physical copies on our website. We have vinyl and cassettes. So, and we're up on everything, whether you like Apple or Spotify or what have you. We also
Okay.
have a few music videos up on our YouTube channel, so be sure to check
Okay,
those out.
good. Yeah, we'll have to get those links so people can take a look. So, uh, now, how did COVID affect you as far as performing? Do you perform out a lot, or uh,
Yeah.
has it
So
been a stall?
our first show was the Millville Music Festival in 2019.
Okay.
So we had maybe 5 or 6 good months before all of this, started. So we're kind of a COVID band.
Hmm.
Our first EP, the Tennessee EP, which I'm still very proud of, came out before that, and we had started working on things for the full length album, and COVID hit. And in it's high highs and low lows, not being as as a performer, as someone who expresses themselves creatively in front of people to watch, to then get praise and accolades and attention for doing that.
Yeah.
When you can't perform on stage, it's devastating. And I think a lot of people sort of remembered, recalled what why going to live shows is so great. There's a collective energy that you
Yeah.
can't get in any other way besides being in a room, experiencing that. I just heard a quote recently that was like, words make you think thoughts, and music makes you feel feelings, and songs make you feel thoughts.
Mhm.
So when you're in a room having this collective experience with everybody, everyone's kind of vibrating at the same frequency. There's no substitution for that at all. So that
Mhm.
was devastating and hard on every musician's mental
Oh,
health, mine
yeah.
included. But
Yeah.
on the flip side of that, we got to play in the studio like I don't think we would have had the time to do had this not happened. And looking back on that,
Mhm.
I can, appreciate it a little bit more. But you read and listen and watch all about these.
Oh, I'm sorry that I recognize. So, so yeah, I know COVID. I mean, it destroyed quite a bit. My husband was in a band, and they played at the Millville, and I believe they played 2019 as well.
Mhm.
And for some reason, the person that had the band and had these people in the band, which was just basically my family. My husband, my daughter, my son-in-law. Then there was a keyboard, and then the vocalist who had the band. He decided he didn't want the drummer, my daughter, and my husband anymore.
Oh no.
And it broke up, and I was just so devastated. I mean, like how COVID can affect everything. And I enjoyed it because they were so good, and like they always had a lot of people. So I understand, what you mean about that.
Yeah.
It just devastating when you don't have it.
I was
So
saying the flip side of that, like what was I saying? These bands in like the 70s and 80s, like you read about like Queen getting to stay in a studio for months on end and working
yeah,
on and just getting to explore and just like be in a musician's playground. And I really do think that we had that opportunity. We
mhm,
really got to make a really interesting album that I think is the best work that I've ever made. And I don't know if having, I was off from tattooing for 3 months, just
yeah,
stewing and having nothing to do but,
right,
go over to my guitarist's house and producer and, work on this stuff. So
right,
we made something really special with a bunch of time that we wouldn't have had otherwise. And I think
yeah,
too, um, I I'd be curious to see how it is in years to come, but I sort of think that COVID was sort of a reset button for a
mhm.
lot of industries.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
and I think there's going to be good and bad things to come from it. We're booking tours right now, and a lot of the
mm,
venues that we're talking to are booked so much further out than they
awesome,
were previously.
yeah,
But which could be a pain in the butt because you're trying to book things and it's like, oh, but on the flip side of that, there's so many more people, remembering that live music is great and they need to support people
that's
because,
right.
all of us could not make any revenue with how terrible streaming is. And, I'm sure everyone at
Yeah,
least knows a little bit about
live
that.
music. Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, to me, live music is so important. And, like even at weddings, I think it's important.
Right.
You go to a wedding and then they play this stuff that, oh lordy, lordy, what is it? So it just is so nice to have a live band. I just, no matter where, I just enjoy it more than just a DJ. I'm sorry, DJs, but I do like live bands. I'm old school that way, I guess. Yeah. So, well, tell me, like throughout the years, have you had any favorite musician artists that you appreciated or even worked with at any time?
I mean, we have a ton of bands that we're working with right now, especially when we go out on the road that we really love, and plenty of Pittsburgh bands too. We play with Hemlock for Socrates and Some Faith and Love Flower Crown. We've been trying to work with Molly Alphabet. There's a bunch of like local people that we really, love and enjoy. And further out, touring. I'm playing with this Americana band, Sophie and the Broken Things. It's just incredible. And we've had some like synthwave bands like Cold Choir in Asheville that we really love.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we try to collaborate as much as possible. In fact, this Friday, we have a new remix coming out that was done by the bassist of Asheville based, goth umbrella band Secret Shame. He has a side project called XOR, which is spelled XOR. He just put out a remix with us, and the one coming out this Friday is from Hemlock for Socrates. So we've been collaborating with a lot of other groups to do remixes. We're going to have, kind of an acoustic a little album coming up soon. So we do try to collaborate as much as possible. But as
Awesome.
far as influences goes, I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I am fairly obsessed with both David Bowie and Dolly Parton. So those are the two musical big driving forces in my life. And I'm
Mhm.
just like a big music nerd. I'm always sitting around listening to like music history podcasts
Mhm.
and giving people, facts that don't really matter to their lives, but matter to me. So
Yeah.
I'm always trying to learn more about music history. I was just listening to a podcast yesterday about Ernest Tubb almost shooting a guy.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
for me, it doesn't really matter the genre that it is. I just love, learning anything about music. But
Yeah.
David Bowie and Dolly Parton, especially,
Influence.
are really important to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. My husband's the same way. I think between sports and music, but music is his first love. He's always, if you find him, he's always watching something musical, and somebody that,
it's music or it's sports for everybody.
yeah, yeah,
Can't be
kind
Pittsburgh without sports.
that's true. That's true. Well, I know that you talked about your tattooing, and I just wondered how you became an art tattoo artist. Did you have schooling for that, or did you just?
No. So when you become a tattooer, the right path to doing that is to get an apprenticeship, which is sort of like an old school, you're working under someone, trading your labor for knowledge. Sometimes you have to pay for an apprenticeship, sometimes not, but you're basically, that's your school, that's your internship or
Hmm.
whatever. So I have an apprentice now, actually.
Hmm.
But there's no set time for it. And when your mentor decides that you're ready to start, then you do. But you get a couple of certifications
Hmm.
in like bloodborne pathogens and stuff like
Oh
that.
yes.
You make sure that you're safe, although that's not required in Pennsylvania. So be careful out
Mhm. Yeah.
there. And then you just sort of learn,
Hmm.
on people. So
Yeah.
I've been doing that for almost 13 years now.
Mhm.
I'm actually traveling to LA next week to tattoo. I go to Nashville, Tennessee, and Asheville, North Carolina frequently to work. And when I'm not there, I'm down at the Ravenwood Collective in Lawrenceville. And it's a great gig. I've been artistic all my life. I've
Nice.
always drawn, and it's amazing to find a way to make a living doing drawings, but
Yeah.
also being able to connect to other people. When
Yes.
you're just painting alone in your room, that's one thing, but I sit down with people one on one and just sort of hear about their lives and sort of
Yeah.
move them through the process of getting something that makes them feel beautiful that they'll have for the rest of their lives. So I feel really
Mhm.
blessed to, have a job like that.
Yeah. You've
And
got.
it's great for touring.
Yeah.
So I can kind
You've
of
got a
kind of
number
go
of
to
talents.
overseas.
Yeah. That's
So
exciting. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I really appreciate the time we had here, learning about you and your music and your artistry. I mean, it's always amazing to me when a musician is an artist as well, because like me, I'm an artist, but I'm not very musical. But, like to see that, it just, interests me so much because so many talented people like John Lennon and That's the only one that brings to mind. I mean, I know there. Well, what's his name? Tony Bennett, art and music, and like it seems like it should be together. Why it's not with me, I don't know, but because I love music, but I can't seem to do it. I'm not.
It's all just different, it's just
Yeah,
how you express yourself, whether it's through dance or
yeah,
drawings or cooking or, whatever
yeah,
it is,
true.
it's just how you choose to express yourself. So,
Mm, true. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry that you had the throat issue because have laryngitis myself several times. So
yeah, it's hard out here in Pittsburgh for for a singer in the spring.
yeah,
I'm sorry I couldn't sing for you all today. I was really hoping. I've been, just living on a lozenge and a prayer for the past couple of days. So, but
yeah,
please go check out my music online.
yes.
I'll sound much better there than I would here right now. So,
Okay. Well,
on
yeah.
Instagram and Spotify and all of those things, and we need the support. So please go out there and follow us and check out our album.
Okay, and I'll put those links down in the information section. And thank you so much again. And you have a good day. And thank you very much for watching.
Thanks,
Okay,
guys. Have a good one.
bye bye.